量化寬鬆 （Quantitative Easing） 簡稱 QE 係一種貨幣政策，由中央銀行通過公開市場操作，以提高貨幣供應。可視之為以無中生有創造指定金額嘅貨幣，亦都被簡稱為間接增印鈔票。佢嘅操作係中央銀行通過公開市場購入證券等，使到銀行喺央行所開設嘅結算戶口內嘅資金增加，為銀行體系注入新嘅流動性。量化寬鬆中嘅量化指將會創造指定金額嘅貨幣，而寬鬆則係指減低銀行嘅資金壓力。中央銀行利用憑空創造出嚟嘅錢，用作於公開市場購買政府債券，借錢俾接受存款機構喺銀行購買資產等，呢啲都會引起政府債券收益率下降，以及銀行同業隔夜利率降低，銀行從而坐擁大量只能夠賺取極低利益嘅資產。央行期望銀行會因而願意提供貸款以賺取回報，以舒緩市場嘅資金壓力。當銀根已經鬆動，或者購買嘅資產將會隨着通脹而貶值，例如國庫債券嘅時候，量化寬鬆就會使到貨幣傾向貶值。由於量化寬鬆有可能增加貨幣貶值嘅風險，政府通常喺經歷通縮嘅時候推出量化寬鬆嘅措施，而持續嘅量化寬鬆則會增加惡性通脹嘅風險。量化寬鬆主要係指中央銀行喺實行零利率或者近似零利率政策之後，通過購買國債等中長期債券，增加基礎貨幣供給，向市場注入大量流動性嘅干預方式。同利率槓桿等傳統工具唔同，量化寬鬆被視為一種非常規嘅工具，將之比較央行喺公開市場中對短期政府債券所進行嘅日常交易。量化寬鬆政策所涉及嘅政府債券，不僅金額要龐大好多，而且週期亦都較長。一般嚟講，只會有喺利率等常規工具唔再有效嘅情況下，貨幣當局先至會採取呢種極端嘅做法。喺過去嘅5年間，美國聯儲局曾經3次推出量化寬鬆政策。第一次量化寬鬆喺雷曼兄弟於2008年9月倒閉之後，聯儲局就趕忙推出咗量化寬鬆政策。喺隨後嘅3個月間，聯儲局創造咗超過1萬億美元嘅儲備，主要係通過將貸款俾佢哋嘅附屬機構，然後通過直接購買抵押貸款支援證券。第二次量化寬鬆自2010年4月份美國嘅經濟資料開始令人失望，進入布里門山嘅復甦以嚟，聯儲局需要推出另一次嘅量化寬鬆。第二次量化寬鬆 QE2 2010年11月3日，聯儲局宣布將喺2011年6月之前再收購6000億美元政府債券，以減低已經好低嘅市場利率，刺激企業同埋民眾貸款嚟到創造就業同埋活絡經濟。第三次量化寬鬆2012年9月13日，美國聯邦儲備委員會宣布咗第3輪量化寬鬆貨幣政策 QE3。美國聯儲局決定推出第3輪量化寬鬆措施，每月以400億美元買債券，並且繼續購入資產，直至就業市場改善。聯儲局同時維持0至到 0.25% 嘅超低利率，至到2015年中。自從2010年6月底，美國嘅經濟資料，例如就業資料等已經接近崩潰，復甦無望。聯儲局為咗應對無法預期中嘅危機，而不得已展開嘅又一次量化寬鬆，為咗刺激經濟復甦同埋就業增長，美聯儲決定無限期每月購買400億美元抵押貸款支持證券，但係聯儲局未說明總購買規模同埋執行期限。
Hear about the Fed?
No, what about the Fed?
They announced another round of the quantitative easing.
What does that mean?
It means they are going to make large asset purchases via PAMO.
What does that mean?
It means they are going to expand their balance sheet and buy treasuries.
What does that mean?
It means they are going to print a ton of money.
So why do they call it the quantitative easing? Why don't they just call it the printing money?
Because the printing money is the last refuge of failed economic empires and banana republics, and the Fed doesn't want to admit this is their only idea.
So why do they want to print the money?
Because they say we have the deflation, and the deflation is very bad.
What is the deflation?
The deflation is when prices of the things we buy go down.
Isn't that good? Doesn't it mean the people can buy more of the stuff?
Yes, but the Fed said this is bad, especially during the recession.
So they think that during the recession, when the people have less money to buy the stuff, it is bad that the prices go down?
Yes, the Fed would rather have the inflation.
So why does the Fed think we have the deflation?
Because the CPI said so.
But aren't the food prices higher than a year ago?
Yes.
Aren't the gas prices higher than a year ago?
Yes.
Aren't the healthcare costs higher than a year ago?
Yes.
Aren't tuition prices higher than a year ago?
Yes.
Aren't the taxes higher than a year ago?
Yes.
Aren't the subway fares higher than a year ago?
Yes.
Aren't the stock prices higher than a year ago?
Yes.
Aren't the bond prices higher than a year ago?
Yes.
So what is deflating right now?
The only thing deflating that I can see is the Fed's credibility.
Did they have a lot of credibility to start with?
No.
Why not?
Because the Fed has been wrong about every major economic development in the past 20 years.
You mean they didn't see the internet stock bubble?
No. In fact, they helped fuel the internet stock bubble.
And they didn't see the housing bubble?
No, in fact, they helped cause the housing bubble.
And they didn't see the subprime crisis?
No, in fact, they told us subprime problems were contained right before the shit hit the fan and the Lehman went bankrupt.
So has the Fed ever been right about anything?
Let me see if I can think of anything. No, nothing.
Who runs the Fed?
The Fed is run by the Ben Bernanke.
Does the Ben Bernanke have a lot of business experience?
No, the Ben Bernanke has no business experience.
Does the Ben Bernanke have a lot of policy experience?
No, the Ben Bernanke has no policy experience.
Has the Ben Bernanke ever run in an election?
No, the Ben Bernanke has never run in an election.
So what qualifies him to run the Fed?
I don't know, maybe the fact that he has a nice beard.
But my plumber also has a nice beard, and I would not trust him to play God with the economy.
No, although when you call the plumber to fix something that is broken, they usually fix it, not break it more.
This is true. The plumber is clearly smarter than the Ben Bernanke.
Well, that is why he became a plumber and not an economist.
How does the Fed execute the quantitative easing?
They print the money, and then they buy the treasury bonds.
Do they buy the treasury bonds from the Treasury Department?
No, they buy the treasury bonds from the Goldman Sachs.
So let me get this straight. If I want to buy the treasury bonds with my money, I can buy them directly from the Treasury.
Yes.
And if you want to buy the treasury bonds with your money, you can buy them from the Treasury.
Right.
But if the Ben Bernanke wants to buy the treasury bonds using the American people's money, he does not buy them from the Treasury, he buys them from the Goldman Sachs?
Exactly.
And does the Goldman Sachs give him a good price?
Of course not, they are the Goldman Sachs, they make their living ripping off the American people.
But how is the Goldman Sachs able to do this?
The Fed announces what it is going to buy, and when it is going to buy, before it does the trade.
So the Goldman Sachs can front-run the Fed and give them the worst possible price on the treasury bonds?
Yes, exactly.
And the Fed is okay with this blatant theft from the American people?
Of course, otherwise, the Fed would just buy the treasury bonds directly from the Treasury Department.
Who inside the Fed is responsible for the buying of the treasury bonds?
The buying of the treasury bonds is conducted by the New York branch of the Federal Reserve.
And who is in charge of the New York branch?
The head of the New York branch is the William Dudley.
And what did the William Dudley do before running the New York Fed?
Before running the New York Fed, the William Dudley was a partner at the Goldman Sachs.
So the guy in charge of the American people's money when dealing with the Goldman Sachs used to be a partner at the Goldman Sachs?
Yes.
And nobody has a problem with this?
Apparently not.
Is this an episode of The Twilight Zone?
I don't think so.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
So what you are telling me is that the Fed thinks prices are going down, when in fact they are going up?
Yep.
And they think during the recession, with the high unemployment, it is better if the things people need to buy cost more money.
Correct. According to the Ben Bernanke, the inflation will create the jobs and improve the housing market.
Has this ever been tried before?
Yes, just last year the Fed tried the quantitative easing with $2 trillion.
Did that create the jobs?
No.
Did it help the housing market?
Not at all.
Did it help anybody at all?
Yes, it helped the Goldman Sachs.
How much of the money are they printing now?
$600 billion.
So even though the first $2 trillion did not create the jobs or improve the housing market, the Fed decided to do another $600 billion anyway?
Yes.
Who put the Ben Bernanke in charge?
The Ben Bernanke was first appointed by the President Bush, then he was reappointed by the President Obama.
But wasn't the President Obama supposed to bring the change?
Yes.
How is putting in charge the same fool, who has been wrong about everything, the change?
Well, under the President Bush, the Ben Bernanke only blew up the American economy. Under the President Obama, he is working on blowing up the entire global economy.
That does not sound like the change we can believe in.
Definitely not.
Who else supports the Ben Bernanke?
Most economists around the world think the quantitative easing is very dangerous.
Does anyone think it is a good idea?
Yes, the people at the Goldman Sachs.
Is this some kind of nightmare?
No, it is very real.
I want to bang my head against the wall.
You should not do that.
Why not?
Because the healthcare is too expensive.
But didn't the President Obama fix that?
No. But that is the subject of a whole other video. Goodbye.